Hello learners, I am Parikshit and welcome to another very exciting session on Unacademy CATalyst. In today's session, we are going to talk about how many attempts is ideal for a 99 plus percentile in your CAT. We are going to analyze a lot of data from past year CAT papers, number of ideal attempts, and based on that, we will try to derive conclusions, right? What is the number of questions that you should attempt to get 99 plus percentile in your CAT? Remember, the difficulty level of the CAT doesn't change at a very high level. It will be more or less same like the previous years, and assuming that as our basis, I will give you a number which probably you need to try when you go and write the CAT on the 28th of November this year. Let's get started with today's class. So I'm Parikshit, your educator on Unacademy with amongst the highest live class ratings thanks to my learners. New batches are starting on Unacademy. A beginner's course started on the 27th of October. From the very scratch, we have completed one chapter. We have just started the second chapter, Venn diagrams. If you wish to join us live, you can subscribe to Unacademy Plus. Remember to use the code Parikshit Live while subscribing to get maximum discounts. Also, a complete beginner's course on arithmetic started on November 1. This is the most important section of your quants, right? Arithmetic. Nearly 30 to 35% of the questions in the CAT are from arithmetic, as we will say in today's session. If you wish to join Plus, remember to use the code which is there on your screen, Parikshit Live. If you use this code, you will get maximum discounts and also you will get free mentorship from my side. There are other batches starting as well. If you wish to enroll, remember use the magic code Parikshit Live for discounts. Okay, let's get started with today's session. So CAT 2021, this is the expected latest exam pattern, right? So number of questions in every section would be around 22, 23, right? Last year, it would be same like last year. When I say same, I mean in time, in comparison with the time limit. What about the number of questions? The number of questions are expected to come down compared to 2020 CAT. If you look at each of these sections, right, VRC, around 5 to 6 questions in each of them, right? VRC, DILR, and QA are non-MCQs. There are no answer options, and you got to type in your answers. There are no negative markings, correct? There are no negative markings for non-MCQ or the theta questions. Hence, you might wish to attempt these questions because there is no risk of you losing marks. Let's look at the scores now. CAT 2020. This is the CAT 2020 analysis, plot 1. CAT 2020, VRC at 26 questions, DILR 24 and Quants 26 questions, each 40 minutes. Now, if you look at the last column, like the last column on the right, 99 percentile, what is the score needed? 40 to 42 questions in VRC. That means out of 26 questions, 3 marks correct for per question, right? 3 marks for every correct answer. You need to get around 13 to 14 questions correct. So out of 26, 13 to 14 questions correct would fetch you a 99 percentile. Similarly, in DILR, there were 24 questions. Even if you get around 11 questions correct, you can expect 99 plus percentile. What about QA? QA also 26 questions, but here the cutoff was high. Around 46 to 48 was the cutoff, meaning you need to get around 16 of them correct out of 26. I think there are two very important observations in this table. First observation, on average, if you can get around 50 to 55% of the net score in every section, 50 to 55% of the net score, so whatever be the number of questions. So if there are 20 questions, around 11 correct, If there are 25 questions, around 13 correct, right, will fetch you a 99 plus percentile. Now remember, 12 questions correct does not mean answering 12 questions, right? The number of attempts should be more than that. Why? Think about it. Your accuracy might not be 100%. Even very few CAT aspirants have 100% accuracy. So if your accuracy is today around 80% only, so remember in that case, you got to attempt 20% more questions because on average, 80% accuracy. So you want to get 12 correct, you would want to attempt around 15 to 16 of them. You would want to attempt around 15 to 16 questions, hoping that 12 of them would be correct. This holds true particularly for VRC, where you are never sure about the answer. Once, many a times, most aspirants have 100% accuracy. So you know you are getting the correct answer, you are getting the wrong answer, right? Many a times you know this. Same happens with LRDI. Could I solve the caselet or could not? I did not solve the caselet. You solve the caselet, you get all of them correct, and you know that the 6 questions are correct or 4 questions in the set are correct. You can't say the same for VRC. So VRC specifically, if you want around 13 correct out of 26, assuming 80-85% accuracy, you'd want to attempt around 17 to 18 questions overall. This is CAT 2020 slot 1 for you. Overall cutoff was 100 plus, 100 plus. So we are looking at around 105 marks, 105 to 110 marks. Remember, the total score was 76 into 3, so nearly 225 plus, 225 plus. So just less than 50% is the overall cutoff. But for you, I think a 50% overall marks would be a safe number to assume at this stage. Next, CAT 2020 slot 2. Now, if you look at slot 2 was slightly difficult. Okay, slot 2 was slightly difficult when it came to the QA section. However, the VRC section in slot 2 was easier compared to slot 1. Hence, the cutoff in slot 2 was a bit high. It was around 44 questions, 44 marks, 42 to 44 marks in VRC. So 42 to 44 marks in VRC would mean getting around 13 correct. Getting around 13 correct. What about DILR? DILR, right? DILR was tough in slot 2 last year. Slot 2 was tough. So you need around 30 marks only. 30 marks for a 99 percentile. So out of 24 questions, even if you can get around 10 correct, 9 to 10 correct in LRDI would fetch you a 99 plus percentile. Remember, 10 questions would just mean 1.5 or 2 sets, probably 2 sets. One set with 6 questions and another set with 4 questions would fetch you through. Many a time, students often wonder, 40 minutes, can I solve 3.5 sets? You need not. If the paper level, if the question is difficult, right? Solving 2 sets correctly would help you clear your cutoffs, as is evident on the slide here. What do you see? 10 questions correct would have fetched you 30 marks. So one set of 6 questions and another set of 4 questions is enough if you were in CAT 2020 slot 2 and targeting 99 plus. Once out of the 26 questions, even if you can get 12 to 13 correct, you'd end up with 40 to 42 questions, the 40 to 42 overall marks in this section, and that would help you clear your cutoffs. Total for slot 2 was relatively lower compared to slot 1. If you see slot 1, cutoff was 105 to 110 for 99 percentile. For slot 2, the cutoff was only around 100 to 102, 100 to 102. So out of 76 questions, getting around 33, 34 questions correct, 33, 34 questions correct, which is around 45% marks, 45% of the total marks will help you clear the cutoffs with 99 plus percentile. Okay, let's look 2020 CAT in more details. I have taken slot 2 as an example. Let's dissect slot 2 in greater details. Slot 22, slot 2 VRC, right? CAT 2020. If you look at RC, that is basically the meat of this section, right? 18 questions out of a total of 26 questions were from RCs. And an ideal attempt, remember last year, VRC, RCs were easy. 13 to 15 questions if you could attempt it with around 85% to 90% accuracy. So you attempt around 15 questions with around 85 to 90% accuracy, getting around 11 to 12 correct will help you fetch 99 plus in your VRC. If you look at para jumpers, last year there were 3 of them. They were easy. So an ideal attempt were getting all 3, attempting 3 and getting at least 2 correct out of the 3. Verbal ability summary, again, 3 questions were there, all 3 were easy. You should attempt such questions, and even if you get 2 correct out of the 3 is a good number. And then para jumpers last year were 2, and an ideal attempt would have been 2 questions. So VRC slot 2 was quite easy. Out of 26 questions, people ended up attempting 21, 22 questions. And out of 21, 22, even if you get 17 correct, it would be a very, very, very good score. Yes, that was VRC for you. Next, CAT 2020, if you look at DILR, I'm sure that a lot of aspirants have done the DILR section of CAT 22 as a practice paper. If you look at DILR, last year, the DILR in slot 2 was tough. Getting 10 questions correct, 10 questions correct, okay, out of the 26 questions would have fetched you through with a 99 plus percentile. If you look at the questions, right, what is important to understand here, look at the first and the last row. The number of questions were 6 in each of the sets. Can you see? Voters and arrangement. Number of questions is 6. But an ideal attempt is not to go after all the 6 questions. Why? Because out of the 6 questions, there were 2 questions difficult every time. So out of the 6 questions, if you can pick up the easy 4, the easiest 4, okay, that is a clever strategy compared to trying all the 6 questions from the same set. Compared to trying all the 6 questions from the same set. So if you can solve at least 2 sets correctly, you will be through. This year, I would suggest that ideally when you look at the paper, when you start the paper, you should have in mind, I'm targeting 2.5 to 3. I am targeting 2.5 to 3 sets. However, if you realize that the difficulty level is high, you want to cut down on your attempts, you might want to attempt just 2 sets. Getting all the 2 sets correct would fetch you 99 plus. So it depends on the difficulty level whether you are going to solve 2 sets or whether you can try solving and getting correct 3 sets in CAT 2021. Correct? Next, look at Quants. Last year, Quants, right? Quants, if you look at it, number system. So basically, let's not start with number system. I must tell you arithmetic. I keep repeating. Arithmetic is the most important section of your Quants preparation. If you are struggling in Quants, these last 10 days which are remaining, just focus and focus only, and I would say only, I would say 80% of your time should be on arithmetic. Arithmetic would mean which chapters? Percentage, profit loss discount, ratio, proportion, variation, simple interest, compound interest, time and work, time and distance, and then average, mixtures and allegations. These 7 chapters form the meat of your quants. Every year after year, this is the case. So please, last 10 days, 80% of your time you can devote to arithmetic. Trust me, and if you do arithmetic well, you will clear the cutoffs in your CAT. So last year also, out of the 26 questions, 10 questions were from arithmetic alone and followed by algebra. So last 10 days, 80%, I mean 80 to 90% of your time focus only on arithmetic and algebra. Algebra again, 7 questions. So even if you can solve these 2 sections correctly, 99% I'm sure you will clear the cutoffs in the quant section. Correct? So last year, 7 questions were from algebra. Ideal attempts would have been 4. What about modern maths? Modern maths is PNC, probability and set theory. Are the 2 questions? 1 questions last year was doable. Geometry mensuration, 4 questions, and an ideal attempt is again 3 questions. And the number system, 3 questions, ideal attempt is 2. Now I must tell you, I'm not aware if there is a software glitch, or probably the software is the software set for the CAT paper. It's not that sophisticated. I'm not aware. But I must tell you my observation. Geometry and mensuration, many a times when you practice in the class, the diagram is given to you. The diagram is given to you and then you solve. In the CAT, if you look at the last 3-year papers, the diagram has never been given to you in geometry. They will give you a paragraph. It is for you to interpret the paragraph and draw the diagram and solve accordingly. So while practicing at home, make sure wherever possible, try to draw the diagram yourself. If it's a circle and a tangent and a secant meeting somewhere, draw the diagram yourself. Because many a time students are not well versed in drawing the diagram and hence they can't even solve the set correctly. So last 3 years, CAT has not given a diagram on geometry. It is up to the student to draw the diagram and derive the solution. Okay, next, CAT 2019 analysis. CAT 2019 analysis. So 2020, we have looked at it. Now look at 2019. Look at the very bottom number on the right side of your screen. Very bottom number, right? On the right side. What are the numbers? 160, 123 and 108. Remember 2019 had 100 questions. So total marks, 3 marks per question, 300 marks. So 300 marks, if you could get 160 out of 300, so basically around 55%, it's less than 55% to be 55%, but yeah, around 50 to 53% net score, you will be through, you will be through. Did you notice the last year 2020 also was something very similar? 100, you need around 100 questions, 100 marks, right? You need around 100 marks, correct, out of 225, around 225, so it's somewhere less than, so plus minus 50%, plus minus 50%. So 2020 minus 50 minus 5, around 45% questions net score, 45% marks. 2019 around 52 53% net score. So anytime your overall score is around 53 55 percentile, is hovering around 50, you have a very very good chance of getting calls from the top B schools. So 50% questions correct is your target. 2019, there were 100 questions, unlike this year where there are only 75, around 75, 70 questions, right? So 2019 had 100 questions, 300 marks out of 300. Anyone scoring 160, around 52, 53% net score would get a 99 plus percentile. Look at the difference between 99 and 95 percentile. A 99 percentile is at 160, while a 95 percentile is only at 123. Remember, even if you get a 95 percentile, you will get calls from the newer IIMs and the baby IIMs. So all is not lost. If you are not able to solve questions in the initial few minutes of your CAT exam, rather than ticking blindly, calm down, regain your composure, and try to get at least a few questions correct, so that you end up with a 90-95 percentile. And you know that even at 95 percentile, you will get calls from some of the top B schools, like the baby IIMs, and some tier, I would say tier 2 colleges, which are good at the high end of the tier 2 colleges, like IMT Ghaziabad, IMI Delhi, will get you calls even at this rate, right? Even at the number of 95 percentile, even TAPME Manipal. Next, so CAT 2019 is what you see. And then every time, if you see, there are always non-MCQs. Can you see? VRC, 7 non-MCQs out of 34. DI, 8 and non-MCQs out of 32. And Quants, 11 non-MCQs out of 34. So 11 out of 34 basically translates to 1/3 of the questions in Quants are without options. Many a times, students, while revising, make use of the options. It is a good strategy that you revise using options. Fine. But you also need to know how to solve the sum without using the options. Because at the end of the day, if you get the solution, if you get the solution with options, but if I don't give you any options, and let's say CAT, they might not give you options, they are not giving you options, you will not be able to solve. So very important that while practicing, you revise both with options, and sometimes when you say, oh, in this question, I have relied, my approach is exclusively based on the options presented, then you might want to revisit that question. Why? Because the options will change, and B, the options might not even be there on the day of your exam. Correct? That's 2019 CAT for you. So bottom line is 50-52% of the net score, okay, will clear will the cutoffs and help you get 99 plus. Next, CAT 2018 analysis. 2018 analysis. Again, 34 in VRC, 34 questions, DILR 32 questions, and Quants 34 questions. Number of non-MCQs, 27% of the total questions in CAT 2018 were non-MCQs. Difficulty level, and it's the same every year. You know what? One section will be easy. Here in 2018, VRC was easy, which was moderate, DILR was moderate, and Quants difficult. It was 1 year where Quants was very difficult. In fact, this is the year which is the toughest for Quants when it comes to almost the last 10 years. If you look at the last 10-year papers, 2018 Quants was the toughest. Look at your, even your good attempts, right? 15 plus was a good attempts, but even then, when you solve 15 plus, remember, you are not, 15 plus doesn't mean 15 plus correct attempts. So out of 15 questions that you attempt, even if you get around 10 questions correct, 11 questions correct, would have helped you clear the cutoffs in the quant section of the 2018 CAT paper. So again, the number of attempts, have a look. Verbal, when something is easy, number of attempts are going as high as 28. As high as 28. This year, around 25 questions in VRC. If VRC is easy, you would want to attempt around 20 questions with 85 to 90% accuracy, with 80 to 95% accuracy, 85 to 90% accuracy, right? So around 20, around 20 out of 25, even if you get around 20, 18 correct, 16 correct or 17 correct, will help you clear your cutoffs. What about DILR? If DILR is moderate level of DILR, we are looking at 16 plus attempts out of 32. Basically, 50% of the questions you need to attempt, right? If the difficulty level is moderate. And again, if the difficulty level is difficult, it would come down below 50%. So I think the golden rule to remember here is, if something is easy, your attempt should be as high as 60-65%. If something is moderate, your attempt could be around 50%. And if something is difficult, your attempts could be around 40%. So I think 40, 50, 60 is the golden rule. 40, difficult section. 50%, moderate section. 60% attempts, easy section. Next year, let's look at CAT 2017 now. 2017 analysis. So every year I'm showing you the numbers. If you look last year, 2018, overall 60 plus was a good attempt. And what is the total correct? Around 50. Around 50. So out of 100, if anyone attempted 60 plus in 2018 and got around 50 questions correct, would have cleared the cutoffs with a 99 plus percentile. Similarly, CAT 2017, look at the bottom right of your screen, bottom right, that's the point where you got to focus. 63 to 67 was a good attempt, getting out of which, getting around 55 correct. Remember, very few students have 100% accuracy. So 63 to 67 total attempts, out of which 12 go wrong, you get around, let's say you get around 50, how many correct? Around 50 to 53 correct or 55 correct. I would say 55 correct out of 65 is a very, very good number and will help you clear your cutoffs easily. Every year, you see, there are always non-MCQs. In 2017, the number of non-MCQs were a bit less, 23 only. But again, there were MCQs, non-MCQs. And whenever there are non-MCQs, why do I mention out? Because remember, that means two things. A, it's difficult. There are no answer options. So you got to check how you solve. And B, good part is there are no negative marking. So you can always attempt the non-MCQs, especially in VRC, where if there is no non-negative marking, you can easily type in the answer. Type in the answer for, let's say, a para-jumble question. So again, around 55% of the total marks will help you clear your cutoffs in 2017 CAT. Next, 2016. So 2016 was, again, if you look at it, are you seeing things which are repeating now? What is repeating? Look at the 99 percentile score. Every time the 99 percentile score hovers at 50% of the total marks. 2016 CAT, you know what? Total marks were 300, which has been every year except the last year. So every year, 2000, around 300 is the total marks, and every year the cutoff for 99 plus percentile is between 50 to 55%. 50 to 55% of your net score. So tomorrow, if the total score in your paper is 100, if you can get 50 to 55 marks, you'll be through. If the total marks in your paper is 200, if you get around 100 questions correct, 100 questions overall score is for around 100 questions, you will be through with a 99 plus percentile. So here also 153 plus was needed out of 300 for a 99 plus percentile. And you know that year you had 34 questions each in VRC and Quants and 32 questions for LRDI. 32 questions for LRDI. Correct? Next, CAT 2015 analysis. 2015. Now, 2015 was an easy paper. This was one exceptional year where the cutoffs went up really, really high. Now you know that if the paper is very easy, like in the 2015 paper, what will happen to the cutoff? It will be close to around 60%. 60%. So 50% you should be through. But if the paper is easy, you'd want to get a net score of around 60%. So out of 300, even if you can get 177, which is just less than 60%, you will get a 99 plus percentile. You will get a 99 plus percentile, and probably that is what all of you are targeting at this stage. All of you are targeting at this stage. Correct? Correct? Yes. So I will summarize what I have just told you. I will summarize what I have just told you, right? Let's summarize. If you look at the last 7 year papers, last 7 years, okay, 7 years data, 7 years data, if you analyze, I think we have derived two conclusions out of it. Two conclusions. First conclusion, 6 out of the 7 years, I won't say 6 out of 7 years, basically 5 out of the 7 years, five out of 5 out of 7 years, okay, out of 7 years, 5 years out of that, 99 percentile, 99 plus percentile, what have been your scores? What have been your scores? I think this is very important. How much you need? 5 out of the 7 years? Around 50% of the total. Around 50% of total. Around 50% of total is what you need. Is what you need to get 99 plus percent. Total marks. Around 50% of the total marks is what you need to be scoring to get 99 plus percentile. In 1 out of the 7 year, in 1 out of 7 years, in 1 out of the 7 years, this number was around 45% of the total marks. Around 45% of the total marks. Okay, around 45%. Which year was that? That was CAT 2020 slot 2. CAT 2020 slot 2, just slightly difficult. So overall cutoffs went down. And in 1 out of the 7 years, and in 1 out of 7 years, another 1 out of 7 years, what was the cutoff? The cutoff is around 60%. Around 60%. So I think you get a fair idea now. You get a fair idea now of how many attempts are expected. How many attempts are expected. Remember, this year it was difficult. This is the year where things were difficult. Sorry, this is the year where things were easy. 60%, right? So 60% cutoff means this was the year where the paper was very easy. Paper is easy, you need around 60% of the total marks. Paper is difficult. Paper is difficult. How much would you need? You need around 45% of the overall score. And around 50% of the total marks, almost every year this has been the trend when the paper level is moderate. So even this year, very high chance that the paper level will be moderate, and you need to target to get around 50% of the total marks. To get around 50% of the total marks, okay, there are, let's say, 70 questions. There are, let's say, 70 questions this year in the CAT. As an example, 70 questions in the CAT doesn't mean you need to attempt only 35. Remember, your accuracy is another factor. If your accuracy is low, you might want to attempt 60% of the questions or 65% of the questions. So net score can be 50%. But if your accuracy is very, very high, it's 90, 95 per plus percentile. Even if you attempt around 50 to 53% of the total questions with a 95% accuracy, you will be through. You will be through. So look at your accuracy also, especially again I say VRC and your comprehension. Quants and LRDI, many a times you know you have got the answer or you have not got the answer. You know that. But in VRC, look at your accuracy. Your accuracy is very high, number of attempts can go down a bit. But if your accuracy is very low, the number of attempts have to increase so as to compensate for the low accuracy. So you are the best person today to decide what is your accuracy level, and according to your accuracy level, your overall target marks should be around 50%. 50%, assuming that the paper level this year doesn't change much. It's more or less the same in the last 7 years. So if it remains same as the last 7 years, correct? And remember, the number of students taking the CAT has also remained more or less same. This year, around 2,30,000 students have registered for the CAT, and almost every year that's the number. So intelligence level will not change suddenly, right? Intelligence level will not change suddenly of the students and the aspirants. So 50% is a safe number. However, paper is very easy, you'd want to increase that to 60%. Paper is difficult, you'd want to come down to 45%, 45%. And remember, take care of accuracy, attempt a bit more. Okay, now do people have any question that you wish to ask? Any question that you wish to ask? I'm looking at the live screen of YouTube now. Someone is asking, I'm a first year student. Should I start my preparation? Definitely, yes. I mean, if you want to start, why not? The earlier you start, the more the time you get to prepare and the better you become in your preparations. Any other questions that you wish to ask? Any other questions, queries that you all have and wish to ask in this live session? कुछ पूछना है किसी को? कुछ बोलना है किसी को? Nothing? No one has any comments or any queries? Fine. Okay. Then that is it. I will make two quick announcements. First is the iconic plan is available for those of you who are interested to subscribe. Do remember to use my code Parikshit Live for discounts while subscribing. And then today, the 14th of November, we have a free mock. Do register. This is a free mock, and there are a lot of prizes to be won. Use my code Parikshit Live, which is there on your screen, for discounts. And yeah, how to start preparation. This is something we in Unacademy tell you in details. Do register and using my code Parikshit Live. And yeah, CAT practice papers are also there for you to practice. So every material is available. It's just that the intent and the time you should have to start preparing. And anytime you have doubts, make use of the Ask Aloud feature on Unacademy. That is it for today. I hope you enjoyed the session, and I'm going to see you in my next session. Till then, goodbye and stay